All right, we can start. Good afternoon. This is the Labor Committee. This is Bill 20-0629, Prevailing Wage, for the purpose of simplifying the manner by which the city determines its prevailing wage for construction contracts by indexing with prevailing hour wage established under state law for state financed construction work performed in the city and providing for a rate review procedure after the initial rate establishment. This resolution was introduced on October the 5th, 2020 by Councilman Bill Henry. On the call right now, we have Councilwoman Danielle McCray, myself, and Councilman Bill Henry. I'm going to go to, we have the law department on the line. I just saw Hillary Rowley somewhere. Yes, and we also have Victor Tavallo from the law department. We also have the city council president's office. I think I saw Dominic somewhere, and Kaylin. Yes, and am I missing anybody? Nope, I don't think I missed anybody. It's all yours, Councilman Henry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Every year, the Wage Commission does a survey of contractors and unions to find out what the prevailing wage is for contracts of with different trades, and they use that information to make recommendations to the Board of Estimates. And every year, the Board of Estimates sets prevailing wage schedules for different kinds of contracts. And one of the complaints that I know my office and other council people have gotten is that the Wage Commission does not seem to have enough resources available for enforcement of those prevailing wage laws to make certain that the companies that are doing city contracts are actually paying their workers the wage that they're supposed to be. And so the point of this bill is to free up resources in the Wage Commission for enforcement by letting the Board of Estimates get its recommendations from the state, because the state of Maryland also does an annual survey of different trades and has a statewide prevailing wage schedule for contracts with the state of Maryland. And so what some other jurisdictions have done and what some other jurisdictions are planning to do is just peg their local rates to the state rate and not have to go through the time and the expense of doing their own survey. And my hope is that if we were to do something similar here in Baltimore City, that would allow the Wage Commission to repurpose its existing resources and concentrate more heavily in enforcement in what would be, and I'm looking for a smile out of finance here, a cost-neutral fashion. And so, see, there we go, we got it. So that's the point of this bill. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. I've had some very detailed conversations with the law department. We all understand the intent. Law offered some great suggestions for how we can better accomplish it. And so I have amendments based on those conversations that I will be sharing with the committee as well. And thank you, Madam Chair, for the opportunity to make some opening remarks.
Perfect. Does anyone have any questions from the committee for the bill sponsor? No? Okay, let's move right ahead so we can hear from the law department. If you guys have anything to add to the bill.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and council members. This is Vic Turvilla from the City Law Department. As the council member mentioned, we had some initial observations about the bill. We thought it went a little farther than what the intent was. With the amendments that we saw this morning, it basically corrects what we have. So we're on board. We'll approve the bill for form and legal sufficiency, and we approve the amendments as well.
Perfect. Anybody from the committee have any questions? All right, we'll move right along. Is there anyone on from BDC?
Yes, good afternoon. This is Matthew Kachura with the Baltimore Development Corporation. BDC has no opposition to the bill as it is.
Perfect, and I'll just keep going right down the line. Housing and community development, is anyone on the line, and do you have anything? All right, I'll keep going down. Anyone from the Wage Commission on?
Yes, good afternoon. Cedric McCray, Office of Equity and Civil Rights. We do not have any opposition to the bill. We have in the past had conversation with folks in the industry, and they have made the suggestion and request that the surveys be consolidated, and I believe that we would not have a problem working with the state to do that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And finance?
Good afternoon, Mara James from the Department of Finance. We stand by our report. We do not oppose this legislation.
All right, any further questions from any council members? No? All right, we're moving right along then. Bill, do you want to explain your amendments that you have? Bill, oh,
Yep, got it. Thank you. All I said while I was muted was, can somebody put them up on the screen? And it happened even without you being able to hear me. So that worked great. What we talked about with the law department was some potential confusion in trying to integrate the changes that had been requested with the petition process to allow for a situation where the state's survey turns out to not be entirely appropriate for Baltimore City, and we want to, and someone wants to point that out to the board. The way that the bill was originally drafted was more definitive about making the city use the state's prevailing wage schedules as our own, whereas the point of the amendments is to remove that as a hard and fast requirement and instead just sort of take the original wording of the code where the board has the power to set the schedules, and it does so working off of the recommendations of the Wage Commission. With the amendments, it would just replace the recommendations of the Wage Commission with the recommendations of the state's prevailing wage schedules. And so the power would still stay wholly with the board. And therefore, if through the petition process, we came up with a situation where the state's prevailing wage schedules weren't appropriate for Baltimore City, there would not be any conflict with having the board set a different prevailing wage schedule that was more appropriate for the city's specific needs. And that is what that is what amendments 1, 2, and 3 do. If you could scroll down. So I think there's a little bit more on page 2. Yeah. So, and this is just straightening out the language to make sure that the petition process would firmly be described in code, and only any aspect of the petition process that exceeded these particular dictates would be left up to the rules and regs of the Board of Estimates maybe rules and regs is a bad term to use because we use it for other things. But essentially, the Board of Estimates would have the power to make any other specific aspects of the petition process, whatever they needed to be for logistical purposes outside of the constraints that are laid out here in the legislation. And this petition process, we worked with representatives from the building trades who I believe they were working off of how they already handle similar petitions in other subdivisions.
All right, no questions from me. Any questions from any of the committee members? All right, does anybody want to move the amendments? Testimony.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think there might be people on the, I see Delegate Wells, who I believe was going to testify on behalf of the building trades. I also see several other members of the trades who may wish to testify as well.
So if any of the attendees can use the raise hand function, if you want to speak, and that way we can see you and call on you, would be great. I'm going to call on Delegate Wells if she wants to go.
Great, thank you. Good afternoon, Chairwoman and members of the committee, and thank you to the bill sponsor. I will not belabor the point. I think the bill sponsor did a really good job, and he's been working closely with the building trade on this. I think definitely the amendments do ensure that the city still retains that autonomy, but overall, the overall goal, I think, and intent of this bill is really to free up resources for the Office of Civil Rights and Wage Enforcement to really carry out, I think, the most important part of prevailing wage, which is enforcement. So the building trades does urge a favorable report from the committee on this. Thank you.
Okay, if there's anyone else who wants to speak out on this bill, who wants to testify, we'll go to the calls to see if there's anyone else. We don't see any raised hands.
There is one call-in user that I think we are required to check in with.
Yep, So caller number 1, you'll hear 2 beeps, and you can start once you hear the 2 beeps. Caller number 1, if you want to speak. All right, caller number 1, we don't hear anything, so I guess you don't want to speak. And it's no one else. So that's it. Okay.
Well, Madam Chair, in the absence of any other public testimony, I would like to move the amendments.
Can we get a second from anyone? Okay, MPC.
Second.
Okay, moved by Bill, second by Councilwoman Mary Pat Clark. I'm a Sharon Sneed, yes. Robert Stokes is absent. Councilwoman McCray.
Yes.
Yes, for Councilwoman McCray. Councilwoman Mary Pat Clark.
Yes.
And that's a yes for
Yes.
Henry.
Yes.
Yes. So the bill, the amendment all passed. And now can we get a motion for the actual bill?
Madam Chair, I move the bill favorably as amended.
Second.
Perfect. Moved by Bill, second by Mary Clark. Councilwoman Cruz, yes. Councilman Robert Stokes is absent. Councilwoman Danielle McCray.
Yes.
Councilwoman Gayama is a yes. Councilwoman Mary Pepper.
Yes.
Councilwoman Clark is a yes. And Councilman Bill Henry.
Yes.
All right. All yeses, this bill passes. Amendment will move to second reader on Mondays for Monday's next council hearing. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yep, we'll go on recess for 2 weeks and we'll come back for the next hearing.